evening, darlings. Hope you can hear me well. I had it on my heart that perhaps I should read the chapters I have already read, but I usually read before I go to bed. It helps me go to sleep, and this is just the most interesting story, I do say. So I'd like to share just a little bit with you now. So, as you can see in the heading, this is the Lost Books of the Bible, Book of Enoch. Let's talk about the book just for a little second, and then we'll get into it. Let's see. The Book of Enoch, also called 1 Enoch, is an ancient Jewish religious work ascribed by tradition to Enoch, the great-grandfather of Noah. Enoch contains unique material on the origins of demons and giants, why some angels fell from heaven, an explanation for the moral necessity of the Great Flood, the prophetic exposition of the 1,000-year reign of the Messiah. It is wholly extant only in the Ge'ez language, with Aramaic fragments from the Dead Sea Scrolls and a few Greek and Latin fragments. Jude 1:14-15 is a direct quote of Enoch 1:9. See also 1 Enoch 68. Enoch is composed of 5 sections: the Book of Watchers, the Book of Allegories of Enoch, the Astronomical Book, the Book of Dream Visions, and the Epistle of Enoch. Section 1, the Book of the Watchers. Chapter 1. The words of the blessing of Enoch, with which he blessed the chosen ones and righteous, who will be living in the day of tribulation, when all the wicked and godless are to be removed. And he took up his allegory and spoke. Enoch, a righteous man, whose eyes were opened by God, saw the vision of the Holy One in the heavens, which the messenger showed me, and from them I heard everything, and from them I understood as I saw, but not for this generation, but for a remote one which is to come. Concerning the chosen ones, I spoke and took up my allegory concerning them. The Holy Great One will come out from his dwelling, and the perpetual God will tread on the earth, even on Mount Sinai, and appear in the strength of his might from the heaven and heavens. And all will be smitten with fear, and the watchers will quake. And great fear and trembling will seize them to the ends of the earth. And the high mountains will be shaken, and the high hills will be made low, and will melt like wax before the flame. And the earth will be wholly split apart, and all that is on the earth will perish. And there will be judgment on all men, but with the righteous he will make peace, and will protect the chosen ones, and mercy will be on them. And they will all belong to God, and they will be prospered, and they will all be blessed, and he will help them all, and light will appear to them, and he will make peace with them. And behold, he comes with Madrids of his holy ones, to execute judgment on all, and to destroy all the ungodly, and to convict all flesh of all the works of their ungodliness, which they have ungodly committed, and of all the hard things which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. Chapter 2. Observe everything that takes place in the heavens, how they do not change their orbits, and the luminaries which are in the heavens, how they all rise and set in order, each in its season, and do not transgress against their appointed order. Behold the earth, and give heed to the things which take place on it, from first to last, how steadfast they are, how none of the things on earth change, but all the works of God appear to you. Behold the summer and the winter, how the whole earth is filled with water and clouds, and dew and rain lie on it. Chapter 3. Observe and see how, in the winter, all the trees seem as though they had withered and shed all their leaves, except 14 trees, which do not lose their foliage, but retain their old foliage from 2 to 3 years until the new ones come. Chapter 4. And again observe the days of summer, how the sun is above the earth, over against it, and you seek shade and shelter by reason from the heat of the sun, and the earth also burns with growing heat, and so you cannot tread on the earth or on a rock by reason of its heat. Chapter 5. Observe how the trees cover themselves with green leaves and bear fruit. For what reason? Take heed and know, with regard to all his works, and recognize how he that lives forever has made them so, and all his works go on like this from year to year, forever. And all the tasks which they accomplish for him and their tasks do not change, but according as God has ordained, so it is done. And behold how the sea and the rivers accomplish their tasks in like manner, and do not change their tasks from his commands. But you have not been steadfast, nor done the commands of the Lord. But you have turned away and spoken proud and hard words with your impure mouths against his greatness. O you hard-hearted, you will find no peace. Therefore you will execrate your days, and the years of your life will perish, and the years of your destruction will be multiplied in continuous execration. And you will find no mercy in those days. You will make your names a continuous execration to all the righteous. And by you will all who curse, and all the sinners and godless will imprecate by you. And for you, the godless, there will be a curse, and all the righteous will rejoice. And there will be forgiveness of sins, and every mercy and peace and forbearance. There will be salvation to them, an excellent light. And for all of you sinners there will be no salvation, but a curse will abide on all of you. But for the chosen ones there will be light and joy and peace, and they will inherit the earth. And then wisdom will be bestowed on the chosen ones, and they will all live and never again sin, either through ungodliness or through pride. But they who are wise will be humble, and they will not transgress again, nor will they sin all the days of their life, nor will they die of the divine anger or wrath, but they will complete the number of the days of their life, and their lives will be increased in peace, and the years of their joy will be multiplied in continuous gladness and peace all the days of their life. Chapter 6. It came to pass, when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born to them beautiful and attractive daughters, and the messengers, the children of the heavens, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose wives for ourselves from among the children of men, and beget children for ourselves. And Simjaza, who was their leader, said to them, Indeed, I fear you will not agree to do this deed, and I alone will have to pay the penalty of a great sin. And they all answered him and said, Let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Then they all swore together and bound themselves by mutual imprecations on it. And they were 200 in all who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon. And they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations on it. And these are the names of their leaders. Their leader, Simjaza and Araklaba, Ramiel, Kobabliel, Tamliel, Ramliel, Denel, Ezekiel, Bariquijal, Aziel, Amaros, Batariel, Ananel, Zaquiel, Samsapiel, Saariel, Turel, Jomagiel, and Sariel. These are the chiefs of tens. Chapter 7. And all the others took wives to themselves together with them, and each chose one for himself, and they began to go in to them, and to defile themselves with them. And they taught them charms and enchantments, and the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants. And they became pregnant, and they bore great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells, who consumed all the acquisitions of men. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. And they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh and drink the blood. Then the earth laid acquisition against the lawless ones. Chapter 8. And Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth, and the craft of working them, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of antimony, and the beautifying of the eyelids, and all kinds of costly stones, and all coloring tinctures. And there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray, and became corrupt in all their ways. Simjaza taught enchantments and root cutting, Amaros the resolving of enchantments, Raquijal taught astronomy, Kokabal taught the constellations, Ezekiel the knowledge of the clouds, Araquiel the signs of the earth, Shamsiel the signs of the sun, and Sariel the course of the moon. And as men perished, they cried, and their cry went up to heaven. Chapter 9. And then Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel looked down from heaven and saw much blood being shed on the earth, and all lawlessness being worked on the earth. And they said to one another, The earth made without inhabitant cries, the voice of their crying up to the gates of heaven. And now to you, the holy ones of heaven, the souls of men make their suit, saying, bring our cause before the Most High. And they said to the Lord of the ages, Lord of lords, God of gods, King of kings, and God of the ages, the throne of your glory stands to all the generations of the ages, and your name is holy and glorious. and blessed to all the ages. You have made all things and have power over all things. And all things are naked and open in your sight, and you see all things, and nothing can hide itself from you. You see what Azazel has done, who has taught all unrighteousness on earth, and revealed the perpetual secrets which were preserved in heaven, which men were striving to learn, and Shemzaza, to whom you have given authority to bear rule over his associates. And they have gone to the daughters of men on the earth, and have slept with the women, and have defiled themselves, and revealed to them all kinds of sins. And the women have borne giants, and the whole earth has thereby been filled with blood and unrighteousness. And now behold, the souls of those who have died are crying and making their suit to the gates of heaven, and their lamentations have ascended, and they cannot cease because of the lawless deeds which are worked on the earth. And you know all things before they come to pass, and you see these things, and you permit them. And you do not say to us, what we are to do to them in regard to these. Chapter 10. The Most High uttered, the Holy and Great One spoke, and sent Uriel to the son of Lamish, and said to him, go to Noah, and tell him, in my name, hide yourself, and reveal to him the end that is approaching, that the whole earth will be destroyed, and a deluge is about to come on the whole earth, and will destroy all that is on it. And now instruct him that he may escape, and his seed may be preserved for all the generations of the world. And again the Lord said to Raphael, bind Azazel hand and foot, and cast him into the darkness, and make an opening in the desert, which is in Judea, and cast him therein, and place rough and jagged rocks over him, and cover him with darkness, and let him abide there forever, and cover his face that he may not see the light. And on the day of the great judgment he will be cast into the fire, and heal the earth which the messengers have corrupted, and proclaim the healing of the earth, that they may heal the plague, and that all the children of men may not perish, through all the secret things that the watchers have disclosed and have taught their sons. And the whole earth has been corrupted through the works that were taught by Azazel. To him ascribe all sin. And to Gabriel the Lord said, proceed against the bastards and the reprobates, and against the children of fornication, and destroy the children of the watchers from among men. Send them against one another, that they may destroy each other in battle. For they will not have length of days, and no request that they make of you will be granted to their fathers on their behalf, for they hope to live a continuous life, and that each one of them will live 500 years. And the Lord said to Michael, go, bind Shemzaza and his associates, who have united themselves with women, so as to have defiled themselves with them in all their uncleanness. And when their sons have slain one another, and they have seen the destruction of their beloved ones, bind them fast for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth, until the day of their judgment and of their consummation, until the judgment that is forever and ever is consummated. In those days they will be led off to the abyss of fire, into the torment and the prison in which they will be confined forever. And whoever will be condemned and destroyed will from then on be bound together with them to the end of all generations. Excuse me, I need a sip of water. destroy all the spirits of the reprobate and the children of the watchers, because they have wronged mankind. Destroy all wrong from the face of the earth, and let every evil work come to an end, and let the plant of righteousness and truth appear, and it will prove a blessing. The works of righteousness and truth will be planted in truth and joy forevermore. And then all the righteous will escape and will live until they beget thousands of children, and they will complete all the days of their youth and their old age in peace. And then the whole earth will be tilled in righteousness, and will all be planted with trees and be full of blessing. And all desirable trees will be planted on it, and they will plant vines on it, and the vine which they plant thereon will yield wine in abundance. And as for all the seed which is sown thereon, each measure of it will bear 1,000, and each measure of olives will yield 10 presses of oil. And you will cleanse the earth from all oppression, and from all unrighteousness, and from all sin, and from all ungodliness, and from all godlessness, and destroy all the uncleanness that is worked on the earth from off the earth. And all the children of men will become righteous, and all nations will offer adoration and will praise me, and all will worship me. And the earth will be cleansed from all defilement, and from all sin, and from all punishment, and from all torment, and I will never again send them on it from generation to generation and forever. Chapter 11. And in those days I will open the store chambers of blessing which are in the heavens, so as to send them down to the earth over the work and labor of the children of men. And truth and peace will be associated together throughout all the days of the world, and throughout all the generations of men. Chapter 12. Before these things Enoch was hidden, and no one of the children of men knew where he was hidden, and where he dwelt, and what had become of him. And his activities had to do with the watchers, and his days were with the holy ones. And I, Enoch, was blessing the Lord of majesty, and the King of the ages. And the watchers called me Enoch the scribe, and said to me, Enoch, you scribe of righteousness, go, declare to the watchers of the heavens, who have left the high heaven, the holy perpetual place, and have defiled themselves with women, and have done as the children of earth do, and have taken wives to themselves. You have worked great destruction on the earth, and you will have no peace nor forgiveness of sin, inasmuch as they delight themselves and their children. They will see the murder of their beloved ones, and they will lament over the destruction of their children, and will make supplication continuously, but you will not attain mercy and peace. Chapter 13. And Enoch went and said, Azazel, you will have no peace. A severe sentence has gone out against you to put you in bonds, and you will not have toleration or request granted to you because of the unrighteousness which you have taught, and because of all the works of godlessness and unrighteousness and sin which you have shown to men. Then I went and spoke to them all together, and they were all afraid, and fear and trembling seized them. And they implored me to draw up a petition for them, that they might find forgiveness, and to read their petition in the presence of the Lord of heaven. For from that point forward, They could not speak with him, nor lift up their eyes to heaven for shame of their sins for which they had been condemned. Then I wrote out their petition and the prayer in regard to their spirits and their deeds individually, and in regard to their request that they should have forgiveness and length. And I went off and sat down at the waters of Dan, in the land of Dan, to the south of the west of Hermon, and there I read their petition until I fell asleep. And behold, a dream came to me, and visions fell down on me, and I saw visions of discipline. And a voice came bidding me to tell it to the sons of heaven and reprimand them. And when I awoke, I came to them, and they were all sitting gathered together, weeping in Ebel-Sheel, which is between Lebanon and Sinisar, with their faces covered. And I recounted before them all the visions which I had seen in sleep, and I began to speak the words of righteousness and to reprimand the heavenly watchers. Chapter 14. The scroll of the words of righteousness and of the reprimand of the perpetual watchers in accordance with the command of the Holy Great One in that vision. I saw in my sleep what I will now say with a tongue of flesh and with the breath of my mouth, which the Great One has given to men to converse with and understand with the heart. As he has created and given to man the power of understanding, the word of wisdom, so he has also created me and given me the power of reprimanding the watchers, the children of heaven. I wrote out your petition, and in my vision it appeared like this, that your petition will not be granted to you throughout all the days of the age, and that judgment has been finally passed on you. Yes, your petition will not be granted to you. And from now on, you will not ascend to heaven for all ages, and in bonds of the earth, the decree has gone out to bind you for all the days of the world, and you will have seen the destruction of your beloved sons beforehand, and you will have no pleasure in them, but they will fall before you by the sword. And your petition on their behalf will not be granted, nor yet on your own, even though you weep and pray and speak all the words contained in the writing which I have written. And the vision was shown to me like this. Behold, in the vision, clouds invited me, and a mist summoned me, and the course of the stars and the lightnings sped toward me. And the winds in the vision caused me to fly, and lifted me upward and bore me into heaven. And I went in until I drew near to a wall which is built of crystals and surrounded by tongues of fire. And it began to frighten me. And I went into the tongues of fire and drew near a large house which was built of crystals, and the walls of the house were like a tessellated floor made of crystals, and its groundwork was of crystal. Its ceiling was like the path of the stars and the lightnings, and between them were fiery cherubim, and their heaven was as clear as water. A flaming fire surrounded the walls, and its portals blazed with fire. And I entered into that house, and it was hot as fire and cold as ice. There were no delights of life therein. Fear covered me, and trembling took hold of me. And as I quaked and trembled, I fell on my face. And I beheld a vision, and behold, there was a second house, greater than the former, and the entire portal stood open before me. and it was built of flames of fire. And in every respect it so excelled in splendor and magnificence, an extent that cannot describe to you its splendor and its extent. And its floor was of fire, and above it were lightnings in the path of the stars, and its ceiling was also flaming fire. And I looked and saw a lofty throne therein. Its appearance was as crystal, and the wheels thereof as the shining sun. And there was the vision of cherubim, and from underneath the throne came streams of flaming fire, so that I could not look thereon. And the great glory sat thereon, and his raiment shone more brightly than the sun, and was whiter than any snow. None of the messengers could enter and behold his face by reason of the magnificence and glory, and no flesh could behold him. The flaming fire was around him, and a great fire stood before him, and none could draw near him. Madrids of Madrids stood before him, yet he needed no counselor, and the most holy ones who were near to him did not leave by night, nor depart from him. And until then I had been prostrate on my face, trembling, and the Lord called me with his own mouth and said to me, Come here, Enoch, and hear my word. And one of the holy ones came to me and waked me and made me rise up and approach the door, and I bowed my face downward. Trying not to cough. We're mostly done. Bear with me. Okay. Chapter 15. And he answered and said to me, and I heard his voice, Do not fear, Enoch, you righteous man and scribe of righteousness. Approach here to me. Approach here and hear my voice, and go say to the watchers of the heavens who have sent you to intercede for them. You should intercede for men and not men for you. Why have you left the high, holy, and perpetual heaven, and lain with women, and defiled yourselves with the daughters of men, and taken wives to yourselves, and done like the children of earth, and begotten giants as your sons? And though you are holy and spiritual, living the continuous life, you have defiled yourselves with the blood of women, and have begotten children with the blood of flesh. And as the children of men have lusted after flesh and blood, as those who die and perish also do. Therefore I have also given them wives, that they might impregnate them, and beget children by them, that nothing might be wanting to them on earth. But you were formerly spiritual, living the continuous life, and immortal, for all generations of the world. And therefore I have not appointed wives for you, for as for the spiritual ones of the heavens, their dwelling is in the heavens. And now the giants, who are proceeded from the spirits and flesh, will be called evil spirits on the earth, and their dwelling will be on the earth. Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies, because they are born from men, and their beginning in primal origin is from the holy watchers. They will be evil spirits on the earth, and they will be called evil spirits. As for the spirits of heaven, their dwelling will be in heaven, But as for the spirits of the earth, which were born on the earth, their dwelling will be on the earth. And the spirits of the giants afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, and do battle, and work destruction on the earth, and cause trouble. They take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst, and cause offenses. And these spirits will rise up against the children of men, and against the women, because they have proceeded from them. Chapter 16. From the days of the slaughter and destruction and death of the giants, from the souls of whose flesh the spirits, having gone out, will destroy without incurring judgment. They will therefore destroy until the day of consummation, the great judgment in which the age will be consummated over the watchers and the godless. Yes, it will be wholly consummated. And now, as to the watchers who have sent you to intercede for them, who have previously been in heaven, say to them, you have been in heaven, but all the mysteries had not yet been revealed to you, and you knew worthless ones. And you have made these known to the women in the hardness of your hearts. And through these mysteries, women and men work much evil on earth. Therefore say to them, you have no peace. Final chapter for the night. Chapter 17. And they took and brought me to a place in which those who were there were like flaming fire, and they appeared as men when they wished. And they brought me to the place of darkness, and to a mountain, the point of whose summit reached to heaven. And I saw the places of the luminaries, and the treasuries of the stars and of the thunder, and in the uttermost depths, where there were a fiery bow and arrows, and their quiver, and a fiery sword, and all the lightnings. And they took me to the living waters, and to the fire of the west, which receives every setting sun. And I came to a river of fire, in which the fire flows like water, and discharges itself into the great sea toward the west. I saw the great rivers, and came to the great river, and to the great darkness, and went to the place where no flesh walks. I saw the mountains of the darkness of winter, and the place from where all the waters of the deep flow. I saw the mouths of all the rivers of the earth, and the mouth of the deep. Beautiful now. And that is the beginning, the very beginning of the Watchers, preceding Genesis. Which, if you're gonna read the Bible, that kind of helps get a little feel for what's going on in the beginning of it, right? Well, thank you for letting me read you a little bedtime story. I hope that was entertaining for everyone. I think it's just a beautiful story, especially that very last bit. That's just like poetry to me, so. Namaste. Ciao, you guys.